Okay, here we are at Alviso. Today was pretty fun, as usual, at Alviso, and relatively fast, considering that not all the main hitters were there today. And my team, Penvelo, did a pretty decent job, I'd say, of team tactics. We didn't really put ourselves in the best position at the end, but throughout the race, I think we had pretty solid teamwork. And for me personally, I thought it was a great day to work on what it means to race with a team and not just race for yourself. I've only been in cycling for about 5 months now, and I've been racing for about 3 months at Alviso or fast group rides. So it was a good day to put into practice a lot of NorCal cycling tips, a lot of vegan cyclist tips, and just a lot of things that I've talked to people about in terms of racing. And I think that overall our team did a pretty good job. The other guys might not think the same, but because of the result, but it's all good. We're just out here learning and having a good time. So the team was me, Donald, Nathan, and James. And Donald is a really good sprinter. Nathan and I are more like breakaway, kind of sustained power guys, and James is kind of like an all-arounder. So we don't really go into the race with a game plan, but it just kind of plays out as it does. There's James on the right, and we just try to follow everything that goes, keep someone up the road at all times, and then set up Donald or James for the sprint, depending on who's fresh and how it all plays out. So coming into the end of the first lap, we're on the tailwind section. I let a gap open up here because I thought the guy in the green was gonna come in, but no need to panic. Just keep the watts smooth, keep a little high, and be right back in there. My heart rate was pretty high today. I think I averaged 189 or 190, and towards the end of the race, you'll see my heart rate was extremely high. It wasn't too hot, but it was definitely a little hot out today. And yeah, so let's skip a little bit forward to where things get interesting. Alright, so we fast forwarded a little bit, and the big thing I was trying to work on today for me was being patient and not moving up when it wasn't ideal, and where I could save a lot of energy and move up, and just be content with where I am in the pack, and just leave it up to my teammates as well to make sure to beat all the breaks. So right here, I see a good opportunity to move up. Things were slowing down. I had to do a little bit of watts to get around that guy moving to the left, but now we're at the front of the race after starting in the way back. And now I'm right behind this Mike's Bikes development guy, and he seems pretty strong and seems like a good wheel to follow. So, and there he goes. So I do a pretty big effort, 1350 or whatever that was, to get in his wheel, but it was just too good not to follow. It was right in front of me, and we had a little bit of separation, but the guys on the front quickly jumped on it to bring us back. And then he took a wide line here, and I expected him to elbow me through, but he continued to get after it, and we passed this guy who was up the road. And then about here, I look back and I see that the whole peloton is on my wheel, so I'm not gonna pull through. I think he elbows me through pretty soon, but yeah, we just ease off, just waiting for the next attack to come through. And if you look at my heart rate, like 195 to 197, 193, in that area is a pretty good sustainable heart rate for me to, it's aggressive and it's going to tire me out, but I know I can hold somewhere around there for the entire crit. So I thought it was a pretty good effort. It wasn't too much, but I made sure to give my teammates the opportunity to stay in the pack and not have to chase me back. And this Mike Spikes guy is continuing to, put out some pretty good watts, especially in this headwind. And so I'm just conserving my legs, and I know that the guys behind me are also, using a lot of effort. So there he swings off. We're both expecting an attack to come through, and people just kind of pull through, so we just scoot back in line here. Nothing too crazy, no one's off the front, so it's the front of the race, and we're just hanging out. If you look closely at the bike in front of me, you'll notice it's a new SL7, pretty sweet looking bike. It's not as cool as the Venge, in my opinion. I think the Venge still has it on looks, and it has it on aero, of course, but, I mean, you can't beat the weight to aero ratio on the SL7, and this guy in front of me does make pretty good use of it. He was a really strong guy. You can see those pretty nice calves. So we're just at the front of the race, going pretty quick, 29 miles an hour in kind of the cross tailwind section, and now we're onto the tailwind. Expecting someone. Oh, and there goes Timmy with the attack, and I think Nathan is going to come up to kind of cover it. Yep, there goes Nathan. But I think that it was just so early on that we didn't need a full-fledged chase effort. I think everyone was kind of motivated, and I think we all expected it to come back just because people, everyone's fresh at the start of the race. So let's fast forward again. Okay, we fast forwarded a bit, and someone has just attacked, and they're off the front, and you can just see them up ahead, and the group is slowing down. It's fanning out, and I'm doing 0 watts, and I see a gap on the right side of the road. There's some debris over there, so it could get a little sketchy, but I see some guys moving up. I'm in Nathan's wheel, the gap is still there, and I just bring up the watts a bit, and then come by with some speed, do a little effort to get up to the guys who have broken away. So not a crazy effort. I think it was 1100 I saw, but the heart rate's going up. There's the first time we hit 200, and I'm just head down trying to get aero, and I catch them very soon, and then quickly I realize that this is not going to be the group to get to the end. This guy initially doesn't pull through when he slows down, and I didn't really want to push through both guys' wind to get to the front and pull, and so it kind of just shuts down pretty quick. And we're looking back, we can see the group, and so I could have probably gone to the front immediately and motivated both of them and myself to, get an effort going, but I just figured that it was not going to be the move, and just like that, a counterattack goes, and this is a very important counterattack. There goes my teammate James. You saw that there's 4 guys up there, and we will not see them again. That is the winning move of the race, and this is a perfect moment right here. So Nathan's on the front, and as you can see, Nathan just eases off the power because James is up the road, and we're going pretty slow right now. So Tim gets to the front to try to get things to go fast, but I mean the damage has already been done. Nathan really did a great job of slowing down the group and just let that breakaway get up, and now you can see him up the road. They're just making that turn up ahead, and that's a pretty big gap that they can easily work with. So now we're in a good spot. We have James up the road, and Nathan and I and Donald. You can see Donald up to the left in the black and red. We're pretty fresh still, so if anyone tries to jump up to the brake, we can be in the wheels, and if it all comes back, we're still fresh, and we can take over for James so he can get a rest. But yeah, we're definitely liking our spot. So I fall back a little bit to mid-pack, just hanging out. My heart rate's really low, 180. 180 and below is the lowest I really see in a race. Kind of slowing up, which is good. The chase is getting away, or the brake is getting away, and so I actually see Jerome move up. So I do a little effort to get into his wheel because I was expecting him to maybe do a little bridge effort on his own, and so I could be in the wheel and get up to my teammate. But he just keeps the effort steady. I'm in his draft, he elbows me through, and of course I'm not going to come through. So Tim comes up, and there's Nathan going by, and Jerome is just waiting for someone else to come through. But of course I'm not going to be the one to close that gap to my other teammate. So we'll leave it up to some other guys who end up closing it. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good teamwork over the last half a lap. When James went, Nathan slowed up, and then I did not pull through, which is, I mean, I always love to be in the brake or do anything, so it's definitely weird to not chase someone back, but that's what you do when you're on team. So yeah, now we're coming into the turn. We have now caught the kind of chase group where that kind of mini gap formed, but the brake is still up the road. What I'm thinking at the moment is I wanted to get to the front, but not the very front, just be in the top 5 and just be ready if someone tries to make the jump to get to the brake, so I can just sit in their wheel and get a free ride to my teammate James. So then we would hopefully have a 2v5, 2v6, however many people would be up there, advantage going into the rest of the race, because I mean we're quickly seeing that the brake is getting a pretty sizable gap, and there's a good chance that it's going to get away. So here we come into the headwind section, or this is kind of a cross headwind, and we're doing a really good job just sticking in the wheels, chilling out, and I'm sitting here waiting for someone to go. We're going slow, and I'm just hoping that someone makes the bridge attempt so I can be in their wheel, but of course no one does, so I'm just sitting on the front, discouraging people from really getting after it. And then there we go, SL7, he gets up there and sits on the front, so I get in his wheel, and then I think I let someone else through. Yep, there we go. So now I'm sitting third wheel, which is a good spot to be, so if anyone comes by, I have a good shot at being able to hop in their wheel as they're going up the road, but I'm not at the front and not chasing my teammate. And this guy, he had a really cool looking bike, and he was really, really strong. He put in a really good effort here. I'm doing 300, 400 watts in his draft, and then here we come in the tailwind. Super fast section, and everyone has to do watts because it's a tailwind. And so here he slows up, and I'm not going to pull through, and we're just waiting for the next person to go, and someone else kind of pulls through. Tim goes, but as you can see, it's not a really unified chase effort, and that's kind of going to be the name of the game for the next couple of laps, honestly until the very end, is that there was never really a unified chase effort, because a lot of guys had teammates up the road, and that took off half the pack or more of people who would potentially be able to chase it down. So the guys who were left just didn't really make it happen. No one was sitting at the front. They should have just done a little, train of 3 or 4 rotating around each other to bring it back. And now it's 4 to go. So things are getting down to the wire. We don't have too much time. So let's fast forward to see if any of the chase effort comes together. So we're a little bit later in the race. The chase effort has not really come together, and I'm at the front again, almost at the front. So when this guy pulls off, I'm not gonna pull through, but you can really sense the urgency now. And that guy goes on the right, Tim goes on the left, and people are just getting fed up. People are annoyed that there's no chase effort, and the break is really far away now. So it's kind of almost a now or never kind of deal to make something happen. So guys are going on their own, which is good, I guess. It means that everyone's going to get tired out, and there's less of a chance that they catch the break, I think. So it's just a good situation if you have someone up the road. But yeah, you can look at my heart rate. It's still really high. That's just kind of what my heart rate kind of chills at during these races. 198, 199, 200. It's not super crazy. So yeah, we're just sitting in, and fast forward to where the race gets very interesting for us. So the whole race has been pretty planned out. All of us have been working seamlessly together to keep the break away, and we've done a really good job of just waiting for wheels to go up ahead into the road, and it's all been pretty straightforward. But then everything changes, and I'll pause it right here. So I see that James is now up the road and is not part of the break. He's dropped out of the break. So I signal to Donald, I yell at him, I said, "Hey, James is out of the break, and we're going into the headwind." So I see it as a good opportunity to jump and take it upon myself to try to get back in the break. So I go a little bit of effort into the corner, do a big jump out, do a quick 1,000 watts, pass Timmy, and now I'm off to the races, except that if you notice, my heart rate is quickly climbing. We were just at 200, now we're at 206. I passed James, who's done a really good job in the break, but he had to drop back, and so yeah, there we go, 207 heart rate, and we are 20 seconds into this bridge attempt, and I see that the guys are way up the road. I did not expect them to be that far up the road, and I figured, this is gonna be a long time up here. But it's all good. I put my head down, try to get aero, try to keep my cadence up, keep it at high 90s, low 100s, and I just try to keep my power steady at something I think I can hold, and just try to go faster than the break and catch them, and faster than the chasing peloton behind me. So we're doing somewhere between 350 to 450 watts, trying to keep it smooth. It's not always easy to keep power smooth on a bike, but I'm just trying to conserve my effort. But as you see, we're still at 204, 205. I mean, just my heart's getting pretty beat up right now. My legs are getting thrashed, but at this point I'm definitely regretting the decision and thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I stick with it. I think I can still make it happen. I can see them up the road, and they're kind of close, but it's a pretty big gap. The one thing that's keeping me going though is that I keep looking back, and the chasing peloton is getting further away. So I'm getting a gap on the peloton, which is all good in my book, because someone is going to have to chase me back if they don't want me to get 5th or 6th or whatever, after the break finishes. If they want to sprint for the next place, someone has to be chasing me back, and it's not going to be my teammates. So I think that's a pretty good opportunity for Donald or Nathan to sit in, and my heart rate's coming down, which is good. I'm steadying out my effort, and the watts have come down a little bit, but not too much. But at this point, I just kill it because I'm so gassed, and I'm super unmotivated because I think that there's 2 laps to go. But then for some reason, I think that I trick myself into thinking that there's only 1 lap to go, and if I could just make it to the finish line, then I'll have gotten 6th or 5th or whatever. So I look back, I don't even see the chasing peloton behind me, so I just put the gas back on. I get after it. But soon after that, I realize that there are actually 2 laps left, so this is not the last lap. But for whatever reason, I stick with it. I think I can make it to the end because I have a pretty big gap to the guys behind me, and I'm confident now that I'm not going to make it to the break, but that there's a big enough gap where I can actually hold this to the line. Or there's an even better option, is that someone or a couple guys bridge up to me, and then we can make it a little chase effort in the last lap to stay away, and then I can sprint out of a small group. So I'm just hoping that some guys come up to me, or that I have it in my legs to stay away. So let's see how that works out for me. So we're a little bit farther into that little effort. We're coming to the line, and this guy comes in front of me to help me out because he bridged up from the rest of the group, and he's coming up to try to get me a bigger gap so I can hold off to the line. And so we're going to try to work together to make it happen. And then this guy comes up on my left right now, and he's sprinting for the line thinking that the race is over. And so in my head, he tricked me into thinking that the race was over. So I went back to thinking that it was that was the last lap, but then I quickly realized, oh wait, this is not the last lap, and we got to get back on the gas, and I still have a big gap, and so I get back on it, and right at this point I'm totally cooked, but I mean there's 1 lap to go, so I just put my head down, try to get after it, and it's just so unfortunate because the guy in the yellow totally could have helped us make it to the line. We could have had a group of 3 going for it, or at least a group of 2 going all the way, but it's hard to keep track of the laps, especially when you're on your own and you're not with the group, and there's no lap cards, of course, but also it's just like a very noob move from me. Being a new racer, I just lost track of all the laps. So at this point I'm looking back, and the group is getting closer a little bit, but it's still not really close, and I'm still putting on the watts, 300 to 350, pretty good effort. I think my FTP is somewhere around 340 or 350, so it's kind of unsustainable after racing for so long, but I'm just gonna see what happens. And then right about here, I look back and I see that Donald is trying to bridge up to me so that me and him can go to the line together, and so I can try to lead him out and try to give a gap for him so that he can sprint at the end. And so here I'm kind of waiting, waiting for him. I'm looking back under my legs. I drop the power a little bit so that he can latch on, and then he just got on, I think, and then yeah, see, so the power goes up, and I'm like, all right, let's go. We can make it to the line. But the gap is closing very quickly between us and the guys behind, and my heart rate is climbing 207, and I just know that there's no way I can sustain this the whole way to the line. So I ease off a little bit here because I'm just cooked, and Donald comes through with Timmy on his wheel, and then Tim behind him, and then I'm yelling at them that it's a 3v1 for Donald because this other guy comes up behind me. So I'm expecting it's going to be 4 guys competing at the line, and then the peloton's coming up behind me, so I just pull off. I'm way too cooked to be a part of the finish, because the finish is always so fast at Alviso. But yeah, that was my race. Super fun, like usual at Alviso. Everyone's having safe, awesome fun, and yeah, we'll see you next week.